Hey, everybody. It's August 8th. I'm Ed Carbajal for MMANews.com, and this is your Sunday submission for after UFC 265. If you follow this video and check out MMANews.com's YouTube channel, please make sure you click the thumbs up, bell notification, and subscribe to the channel for videos like this and our fighter interviews where we've had interviews with a couple of the competitors from UFC 265, including Michael Kiesa, Rafael Fizzyev, and I know James Lynch, who does the interviews for us, has spoken to Cyril Gane in the past. Cyril Gane, which is supposed to be the appropriate way to pronounce his name. I forgot the guy that got that out of there, but shout out to him on Twitter. All credit to whoever that dude's name I'm forgetting is. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. I usually stream this there as I record it before I upload to MMAnews.com YouTube channel, just in case anybody wants to chime in, about the fights that we're going to talk about. So UFC 265, it was a big one. We might as well just jump right into it. Let me share the link up here. So if you remember last week, I can't really play the highlights and stuff for you because then we get hit with a copyright, whatever, from the YouTube algorithm. But let me bring this up for you because there's a lot to talk about. We already have a lot of content flooding up on MMAnews.com. Just reactions and on top of the results. I wrote my 7 takeaways piece. This was a rough night for me, by the way, because I was also doing for another outlet the live results for Sean Merriman's. Had his MMA promotion bring fights back to Cali last night. California has had an interesting couple of weekends with Cage Warriors there last Sunday, which I know I mentioned last week on MMAnews.com. Who's going to be coming there? So if you have a Fight Pass account, check out Cage Warriors. That's where they found Conor McGregor. So they're going to be coming. It's a UK promotion, but they're going to be coming to I forget where they held the event in California last Sunday at Cage Warriors, but they're going to be coming back in October, and they said they were going to be doing about Angela Hill did commentary on that show, who fought last night also at UFC 265, and they're going to be coming back. I think he said they're going to shoot for 6 times in a year, permitting with COVID and all that stuff. So that's good because it looks like their goal is to rack up a bunch of U.S. fighters to fight the U.K. fighters once folks can start traveling again. So it's nice that they're starting that now, not just to get the fan base, but to kind of start stirring the pot and hyping that up for folks that are fans of MMA on both sides of the globe. But enough about that. UFC 265. Let's look at the results really quick, just because there's so much to take away. Especially, first, I gotta say, before we even get into this, I'll get out of here. Freaking ad. I know that's how the money gets made, but it's goddamn annoying. Before we even get into it, I have to say when we lost the Nunes fight, Juliana Pena and Nunes, I was kind of like, this wasn't really on my radar, and then I kind of had to pull back on it as the night went on, because I was like, the screen is messed up. As the night went on, I'm watching the fights. We got a lot of great fights out of this event, and I was watching 2 screens, but as I was watching UFC 265, the fight with Song Yadong's fight and Rafael Fizzyev and Bobby Green, for me, was the fight of the night. I know Fizzyev got a bonus, but I don't remember if they both got fight of the night bonus. I gotta close this window apparently and reload the damn screen. But I don't know if I don't think they both got a bonus, because Dana White's at the post-fight press conference, he wound up giving out bonuses. The bonus is Cyril Gane. I want to make sure I say his name right, because I know that's been a thing with, and I mess up fighters' names not as often as Matt Hawkins does, my podcast co-host, but I mess up fighters' names fairly often. I think we all do. Combat sports probably because of the global pot that they pull fighters from. It's probably hard to see a lot of fighters' name. All right, so it looks like I got this working again. So let me do this again, just to get the results up for you from MMANews.com, so we could scroll through them together. And here we go. Because there's a lot. There was so many great fights. Again, you can check out this page. If I scroll up, you'll see that we have a lot of the highlights on there. I don't want to press play on them because of the whole thing with the copyright that I mentioned from a couple of weeks ago. But there was a lot of great highlights. I guess we'll start off with the main event. I know I was talking about how when we lost the Amanda Nunes Pena fight, that I was a little bothered by it. But as the fights went on, and as I was watching this fight, and now we see what happens afterwards. By now, you already knows Ciryl Gane defeated Derek Lewis and with TKO in round 3. And the just looking ahead, when you look in combat sports at the heavyweights fighting in combat sports, baddest man on the planet is always the heavyweight division and the man that holds the titles there. I mean, I know there's various heavyweight champions in MMA and they can't fight each other yet. Hopefully in the future that's a thing. But the UFC heavyweight champion is always viewed as the baddest man on the planet. Even casual ESPN MMA reporter Max Kellerman has commented on that because back in the day, I've said this before, back in the day it was boxing, and as combat sports evolved as a medium for folks to compete in and watch, it's moved over to MMA because the rule set is closest to a real fight, as close to a real fight as it's going to get. That was the UFC slogan back in the day. Shout out to Campbell McLaren. I think he's the man that coined that, of Combate Global, whose ratings kill every weekend, if you don't know by now. But anyway, the this interim situation, I even wrote about it on the 7 takeaways piece because they let me have a little freedom here at MMAnews.com when I write some stuff. I wasn't really like, we all didn't like the whole picture of the interim title fights. Interim titles in general are something that we kind of like are really another one, especially when it's with the UFC. We always kind of scoff at it and be like, oh, really? Another one, another interim? Why are we doing it this time? Because tournaments would be nice. Everyone likes to tune into a tournament. It keeps the bracket and everything. Look at the Olympics that are on right now. It's all tournament based, and Bellator's figured that out. The PFL seems to figure that out. And as popular and successful as the UFC model has been, folks seem to, maybe we're getting tired of it as fight fans that have been following for a while. But that they already had, the UFC already has our eyeballs and our attention and our money. So they're looking to grab the new fans. And if this is new to newer fight fans, then this is what it's all about. So now we have this interim title fight, interim champion in Gane. And he's going to be facing Francis Ngannou. I think Brett Okamoto put out a video of them sparring together, and it's short, so it's hard to assess from a short clip of a sparring session. But if that's the fight we have to look forward to, UFC 265 wasn't really like something that I got into, and now that it's over and we have this clear cut fight ahead of us, I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad it happened. And I like Dana White at the post-fight press conference, I couldn't be more hyped to watch the fight. There was shadows of Ngannou Lewis when I was watching, as this fight was going on, because everybody, it was Derek Lewis's hometown. I actually had a parlay with Lewis and Hill. It was like a +6 something if Angela Hill and Derek Lewis won. And of course, that didn't pay out for me because, that's just the luck of Eddie Carbajal. But I somebody put up a stat that Derek Lewis was undefeated in Texas. And I was like, okay, that fueled me to, and I thought leading up to it, with Lewis getting in his face and stuff like that. I mean, all these fighters have whatever they have to do mentally to get in fight mode to get ready to give and receive violence to one another. But this fight in particular, I was it was happening. Initially, officially, if you look at MMAnews.com, the staff predictions and the ones I submitted at Sherdog, I think Ben Duffy got him up. I don't know if he did, but they better be up on there because I was right about this one officially, even though I put my money on Lewis because of the underdog thing. But I saw a gun winning by decision just because of everything we saw, but I really didn't think about how attacking the midsection of Lewis is something that his losses have come from fighters in the past, just trying to play on the cardio and all that. But they were saying during the commentary how Gon moves like a middleweight, and I mean we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing that a lot, and like Stipe Miocic is that guy too. He does. You don't look at him and think heavyweight, but then you see him beat all the heavyweights and defenses that he's done. Which is funny because another thing that I don't know. I mean, we all know Brett Okamoto's the guy that Dana White and the UFC taps now for their first reports and stuff like that. He put up a video just before the fight of Francis Ngannou getting ready to watch this, and Ngannou said something along the lines, and this is in my the link to it is in my 7 takeaways piece, but which of course I can't play for you because ESPN will hit us. I know I keep mentioning it, but I just think it's so stupid. It's marketing for you. It's only going to make people want to watch your stuff more, but whatever. He said that technically these guys were fighting for the number 2 spot because Stipe's number 1 since he's the one that lost the title. So before we look at the results, we got to jump into. So Dana White is already sold on making this Ngannou fight happen. Someone asked him about John Jones because we all thought we were going to get John Jones versus some heavyweight, whether it had been Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis, somebody, and money is an issue. That could be why this whole interim situation. We don't know the what happens on the business end of things as much as we speculate and everybody writes conspiracy theories and stuff like that. One thing Dana White does say at every press conference is that we don't know the fight business, and we really don't know the best. It's not something you can go to school for. You just have to watch it evolve. And the only reason why I say he's right most of the time is because of all the money they make and how popular it is. So if anybody was right about anything, damning or whatever, then we would see them take some hits. But anyway, I'm getting off my point. I think this is just me spitballing again because I don't know the fight business either. I think so. The person that asked about the John Jones thing, because Jones tweeted the champion 2022. Dana White was like at the post-fight press conference, and we have a link to that. You can check it out here too. And he says, "I'm not fighting until 2020 or champion 2022." And Dana White was like, "John Jones is not fighting until 2022." So I wouldn't be surprised if we get John Jones and Stipe fighting while this fight happens with Gon and Ngannou. That's just planting seeds for. So you already have like 2 or 3 money fights looking ahead, which is if you look at that war room with the Sun Tzu quotes and stuff that Dana White always talks about fights, and they have the stuff on the wall that he refers to from. That's probably what they have on that wall. And this is, again, I'm speculating, spitballing. I'm a little asshole in New Jersey that doesn't know jack about the business like Dana White says, but it would be fun if that did happen, right? Fun fights to make. This is one I got wrong. The fight with Vicente Luque versus Michael Kiesa, the Darce choke, Bravo choke, whatever you want to call it. I think we have that up here. If not, yeah, it's up there. I can't play it for you. You know why. But the he calls out Kamaru Usman, and we have a reaction piece to that up on MMAnews.com as well. But the thing about leading up to this submission here that happened, I thought Kiesa could win by decision just because of his experience and stuff like that. Because I actually saw them pretty even when I was doing my research to submit my picks to the outlets that I write for, I saw them pretty even in the grappling department. I was surprised that it went to the ground. Because of that, I thought it would. I would thought it, usually when two fighters are equally skilled at one part of the mixed martial arts that they're really good at, they defer to something else. A great example is probably one you're gonna give me crap on or troll me on or whatever. But if you look at like when Heather Hardy and Anna Hulutan fought in Bellator, but they both came from boxing. They're both boxers, and they both said, "Hey, let's screw the striking part and let's see who's better at these other parts of mixed martial arts." And we saw them do that. They got booed during that event. I covered it for sure. I wrote a piece on it over at Sherdog. But the point being is, I thought that's what was going to happen here. I thought they would say, "All right, let's not grapple each other. Let's not turn this into a jiu-jitsu competition or submission only thing." But that's not what happened. They went to the ground, and I already thought I was going to be right because it looked like Kiesa took Luque's back, face cranked him. I don't remember how they got reversed or how they got to a scramble. Mm. And even if I do play this highlight for you, you're not going to see the scramble where he sets it up because there's one angle when Lucas sinks in the arm, the choking, what I call the choking arm, to get to the choke. He you see the both hands come up like this. So I thought he just had Kiesa's neck. So I thought it was going to be like that ninja choke that we've seen in like the PFL and in Bellator. I can't remember the fighters' names that did it, and this was 2019. But it made submission of the year contender highlight reels and stuff like that. So, which is like a rear naked choke just from the front of the neck. And I thought that's what we were going to see there, but I didn't even know that he had the arm in for the Darce. Which is funny because that's usually someone with Michael Chiesa's frame. That's like a nice submission for a guy like that when you have long arms and you're lanky and stuff like that. But he got it in, and I he was doing all of the right things to defend it, but Luque in turn was doing all the right things to make sure it was in. And I was a little surprised that submission happened, especially it looked like they were trading choke for choke, and you know I know we also have the response that because it was almost 40 minutes afterwards, towards the main event time of the fight that Kiesa put up a social media post like addressing the loss and stuff like that. Um, and this was another fight that was a rematch that I kind of was hoping again because of my parlay. I thought that I really did think that Angela Hill because you think about I forget what is it 2015 that they first fought or last fought or whatever it was, and I just thought I thought it both of them had evolved so much, especially Angela Hill, because when you look at when she lost to her, when Hill first lost to Torres, she was like out from the UFC. She goes to Invicta, she goes and wins the title. Invicta comes back, and she just seemed to be the better fighter, and her losses were decision losses, even to the fighters that was arguably some she should have won, leading back up to her climbing back up to main event in the UFC or main card in the UFC. So she lost unanimous decision. Listen, there's points where I thought she did well, but what are you gonna do? Tessia Torres, I guess, has her number, and again, she lost by decision. That's just a opinion, and if we look, there's a lot can be said about judging in mixed martial arts, and never mind the location, just overall. We had Fernando Gonzalez on the podcast that I do, Coast to Coast Combat Hour, this week. I'm going to be writing a piece for another outlet about that, but he commented, especially when you hear from a fighter, for someone that's fighting as long as him, where I mean, you wonder when is MMA judging going to improve? And my question to him was, how do we fix it? How do we improve it? And we improve it by maybe getting some former folks that have enough experience to recognize these fights and things like that under their belt to be judges and officials. Oddly enough, I said I was covering a regional event over at another outlet. Frank Trigg was reffing some of those events at the Cage Warriors thing that I mentioned at the top of this. Chris Lieben wasn't a referee, so it's happening. We just have to give it time. You got to remember, MMA is what 28 years old now. It's in comparison to boxing and other combat sports, it's fairly young still. So we just got to give it time. But And this one was one I got right. Song Yadong defeating Casey Kenny by split decision. It was another one that was another fight that I was entertained by. But if I had to pick a most entertaining fight off of this card, it was this one right here. Bobby Green and Rafael Fizzyev. Again, we got the interview with Fizzyev up on the MMANews.com YouTube channel. He had a funny call out. He called out Hasbulla, the little fellow over in Dagestan that's popular with the MMA community. I hope I said that correct enough to not offend anybody with PC terms or whatever. But he calls out Hasbulla, which was hilarious to me. Daniel Cormier puts a microphone in your face, and you were the top of the ESPN, leading into the pay-per-view, and that's what you come to with the microphone. I just thought that was funny, but got to get entertainment out of this. And then this is one I got wrong. Jessica Penne versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz, where she got submitted by armbar in round one. Apparently, I was stupid on that one because a lot of folks saw this happening. I don't know why. I guess because of Carolina's, past and the rivalry she had, fighting Joanna and stuff like that. I just, for some reason, I thought she had enough to pull off a victory. This was the prelims. Somebody commented how empty the arena was in Houston, like folks that were there. I don't understand, especially with the price of UFC tickets, how you pay that much money and you only show up for the main card, or I know folks like to tailgate and drink, but you could tailgate and drink it out in front of your place. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna pay, what is the average UFC? I guess depending on where it is. Like you look at the counter, I think the cheapest tickets were like $500 or something ridiculous like that. But if you're paying UFC ticket prices to go to an event, I have in the past, and I'd be damned if I miss the first fight. I'm watching first fight to the very last fight if I pay that price. So, but because these folks that did that, they missed some really, really good prelims. First of all, Manel Cop, this fight, flying knee knockout. It's not on. We only got the main card stuff on here, but it's definitely go to UFC's social media. You can hear the knee land on Osborne's chin where he drops him. Osborne looked like he disputed it a little bit or whatever. I mean, but that was a Ryzen level finish. And if you weren't following Manel Cop's career, he came from Ryzen Fighting Federation over in Japan. So that was something the folks that old school fans that love Japanese MMA, stuff like that, you see, more often than not over there. That's definitely gonna up. He's gonna be moving up on whatever card they put him on next. He'll definitely be on like the ESPN port, like this part of the card versus the prelims again. And then the this fight right here, the knockout in round two was pretty. I mean, TKO. They call it technical knockout. I mean, I'm always on the fence when these knockouts. Same thing like this one that I just talked about. Because and I guess that's where the referee comes in, where they have to make the best judgment call, because you don't want somebody to. It is combat sports, and you don't want somebody to get brain damage or whatever. So, I wanted to. We got about 6 minutes left. There's something in combat sports where they're talking about knockouts, so this is a good segue into it. Which I can bring up to highlight because I'm not going to play the sound, but it made the rounds. Let me remove this so we can bring this highlight up. Talking about combat sports and knockouts and things like that. When I woke up yesterday, fight day, there was a highlight reel from the Olympics making the rounds of someone. So there's a fighter that in Olympic karate that knocked out his opponent, and the losing in your. I'm just going to play it for you before I get into it. This one we can just watch. You don't need to hear sound on it. So here it is. You see it playing on the loop here over and over again. This knockout, if you're watching it and you're not a fan of Olympic karate, um, you would think the gentleman in the red belt, gloves, and foot pads won that fight. He did not. The guy dropped unconscious on the mat is the guy that got the gold medal for this fight, for this competition. And it's one of the things when you're talking about, I was talking about the baddest man on the planet and rule sets and things like that. Um, if this happens in the UFC or Karate Combat, if you don't watch Karate Combat, I recommend you go to karate.com, look it up. Josh Cohagen fought in MMA. He's holds the title there. Um, that's one of the things that in combat sports, when martial arts start transitioning to sports, there's things, I don't know where they come up with these rules, but there's things that happen that makes folks wonder what the hell are you doing, or when you were writing these rules. I mean, martial arts inception, no matter what your discipline or style was, a lot of it came out of wartime. That's why they call it martial arts. um, it was life or death. So when we water them down over time in the years, and martial arts evolve, techniques get better. But when it transitions to a sport and something like this happens, um, it almost hurts the art that it came from. Um, I don't know why mixed martial arts is not an Olympic event. There's people that have been trying to get it to happen, but when you see something like this happen, it makes you wonder: do you really want that to happen to MMA? Um, like, are they going to make it to the point? So, like in amateur mixed martial arts in New Jersey, when if a fight starts in and knockouts are allowed and stuff like that, but when it goes to the ground, it pretty much turns into a grappling competition. I know not every place is like that, so I'm just referring to what I've seen a lot here. But this thing that happened here, um, especially for karate enthusiasts, of which I consider myself. My first love, as a child of the 80s growing up, I've trained Ishinryu karate for 11 years. I hold a brown belt sitting over there in Ishinryu karate. Um, it's one of those things that it's almost insulting to the art when these guys trained for an art that was, self-defense, life or death, or whatever, what have you, and then it becomes a sport, and then you get penalized for training what you've put in 10, 11 years of your life. you know some of these guys are lifetime karate enthusiasts. So I hope that man, I did get his name. I read the article, and the you can see the representation of the countries in that graphic, in that video there. But it's just something that needs to be brought up because in MMA that would have been a win, and then the global platform that is the Olympics, and then you wonder why certain sports aren't as popular. There's sports that, I mean, there's sports that get in trouble of being removed from the Olympics, and then they add stuff in that's just doesn't make any sense. So to me, that didn't make any sense, and I know MMANews.com gives me the platform to talk about combat sports news here, so I figured that was worth mentioning because you know you liken that to, like, there's if you look at the if we look at the bantamweight situation in the UFC, this is the side of the fence where folks that, again, this is not Aljamain Sterling's fault. He didn't ask for that decision to happen. The whole thing with him and Peter Yan, but this is similar to that where Peter Yan. I mean, the rules in MMA, that down Lee was illegal, so the rules say Sterling deserves it, but I'm just bringing it up because when you start adding these rules that change what martial arts is about, like if that was in Bryson, I'm sorry, I believe like one championship. If that was a one title fight, then Jan would be the champion, and so that's where folks are starting to have the argument. And then I'm just bringing this up because it seemed to be trending and popular on Saturday, and sometimes it's time to reevaluate, reassess rules for how titles change hands. You got to remember all these guys, including these guys that put their lives in and to compete in the Olympics in karate. Aljamain, Peter Yan, all those guys, you know, they dedicate a fair amount of their time to make this their livelihood, and we put time in to watch. So maybe something should be done, or research should be done to say, let's look at the rules again and see how we can fix it. So but that's pretty much it. I just had to put that in because that was something that was bothering me all weekend. So that's it for this Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday. Thank you for those that are watching. Make sure you check out MMANews.com for all the results and details and all the post-fight stuff and reactions of UFC 265. If you like this content and the interviews we do up at the MMANews.com YouTube channel, make sure you do the thumbs up, bell notification, so you can get the notification for new content. And if you like and you want to check out any of the stuff I do, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Carbazel, where I stream this when I first record it before it hits the MMANews.com YouTube channel. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. Thank you for watching and tuning in.